in this whole artistic endeavor, how did you get so impacted by Gandhiji? Where did Gandhiji fit into all this suddenly? You talked about wanting to help the underprivileged, but then you went into theatre. So,
Sunil, maybe it's because of the era that we grew up. This was pretty much still 20 odd years into independence. So Gandhi was very much part of our lives in many ways. Whether it was my parents having come out of the independence generation, we were influenced hugely by the pursuit of truth. My mother, through her career, through her professional career and looking after us, always made it a point to see what she could do for the underprivileged. Whether it was during the wars, working in the hospitals, in the base camps, etc., or just working across the length and breadth. And that was, in many ways part of our DNA. My grandparents did the same, my great-grandparents, always, while you could have said that they discriminated in other ways with people not born from our community, etc. So Gandhi was pretty much part of our world without it being necessarily in this way sort of being hit on the head with it. It's not that anybody was quoting Gandhi to us all the time, but it was part of that being. Gopal Gandhi, Tara Gandhi Bhattacharya, these were people. My dad had gone to Presidency College in what is now Chennai, for example, and again very influenced by the whole idea of independence and what Gandhi meant. And then you start reading, and remember, for us there was no PlayStation or phone or television. Yeah. It was the Delhi Gymkhana library, and where you discovered Gandhi, you discovered his writing, but you also discovered writings on him. You saw so many world leaders who were influenced by what he said, what he thought. So whether when we studied in the UK, or whether you heard people from America or the Martin Luther Kings of the world, or when you went to South Africa, the Nelson Mandelas and the Desmond Tutus of the world, everybody in some way had been moved by an experience that they attributed to the very concept of ahimsa, or non-violence. In today's world, we know how difficult that concept is to even dream, let alone be that concept. But I think we were fortunate in many ways that we had access to this philosophy and this idea. And the philosophy and the idea in many ways was very Indian, whether it's the Buddhist philosophies or the Vedic philosophies, etc. The very intrinsic nature of non-violence and finding a truth which for you becomes the truth, without necessarily saying that this is the only truth and that this is my way or the highway. I think that's the most celebrated thing. And Gandhi, while he may have sort of preached maybe the wrong way, may have sort of explored these many truths, at no point of time did he say, oh, this is what I've received in a divine vision. He found his truth through practice. He's found his truth in Champaran when he first went there. He found his truth in Harilal Gandhi, his own son, when he felt that Harilal had found his own route and rejected him as a father. He found his truth when Harilal died of alcoholism in a really tragic way. He found his truth when his wife said, when he was on fast and refused to have milk, and the doctor said, you have to have milk, and his wife said, well, are you sure you have to have that you can't have buffalo milk? What's the vow that you took? So in many ways, it's like the Jewish priests who argue about every point. So he was open to the argument. You know, when he banished his secretary and he wrote to by saying that if you ever do this again, meaning there was a discrepancy of 3 rupees or three whatever in the accounts, he said, I will banish you. You know, from the, and then he later banished his secretary, of course, and then by in her own way sort of, you know, explained to him, let him be first, and then explained to him, and he accepted it. The very truth, for example, when he and Bai was sleeping and his father died, the trauma that he felt or the guilt that he felt, these were truths that are lived experiences.
Beautiful.
You know, and I think that is something that resonates, and that's the reason why so many years later, whether it's 400 years post Kabir passing over in the 15th century or 600 years later, these are truths that are universal, and these are truths that don't fade with time. They live on because they are fundamental. They're fundamental to our being.
You've obviously been impacted by Gandhi a great deal. Do you believe that you've imbibed some of the aspects of what he stood for? Or
I don't think any of us can. You know, Gandhi was,
or what would you,
you know,
like
one in a billion, as we knew he was, or 1 in a trillion. I think you can take from his philosophy, and certainly, you know, whether it was his fight with the untouchables, whether it was simple thing of hygiene, of not ever saying that, you know, I am too high on the scale, on the food scale to not pick up a piece of kuda, etc. So you can imbibe his philosophy. I don't think we can ever.